You are on a collision course.
And we are live. Unlike the show that we're talking about tonight, this is Collision Course, episode number 22. I'm still numbering them, Kate. How are you doing today?
I've had a really lousy day, I'm going to be honest. And hello, welcome to the free feed. This is going to start with me complaining. No, I've just had a completely crappy day, and I'm very happy to be here with you because it helps get my mind off things.
Well, thank you. We have a lot more people than usual here, hopefully to make your day brighter, as we are, as you stated, live on youtube.com/post wrestling, a free show we're doing this week, as we are going head to head with some other post competition. I wouldn't even call them competition. They're all our family and friends, as Rich Fan, WH Park, and Nate Milton are currently recording MCU Later, talking about the season finale of Loki, or maybe series finale, not too sure. So because of that, they are on the Post Wrestling Cafe, while me and Kate are invading the free waves here on Twitter, X, YouTube, Facebook, wherever you choose to watch your post shows. But yeah, do you want to talk about your shitty day, or would you rather just go right into wrestling to forget it all?
I really shouldn't. Like, it's just this is wrestling. This is not a therapist's office. So I hope everyone's doing better than I am. But we had a wrestling show to talk about, so let's do that.
Absolutely. And some other shows really quick to talk about on the Post Wrestling Network. If you haven't watched New Japan Pro Wrestling Lone Star Shootout and you want to hear Bruce Lord and Karen Peterson talk about it, they do have a review of it on Post Wrestling Cafe right now. Did you get a chance to catch the Lone Star Shootout at all?
I caught I think most of it. Basically, I watched it last night up to the point when Rampage started. Then I switched over to that. And then I went back today and watched one match, which was Mayu Iwatani versus Stephanie Vacque or Vacquier. I'm never quite sure. But so I went back and watched that one, which was really impressive. And other than that, yeah, so I saw the early bits. It's still have to go back and watch a couple of the later matches, but I think I caught up on most of it.
Yeah, I have to catch up as well. I feel like New Japan, especially New Japan Strong on the US side, has been doing a lot more shows lately, like one show a month, it feels like, maybe sometimes even two. Because of that, it's kind of hard for me to keep track with that, as well as like the standard New Japan wrestling that happens in Japan as well. But I'm definitely going to catch that show. But like I said, if you want to hear Bruce Lord and Karen Peterson talk about it, the show is up now on the postwrestlingcafe.com. As soon as you're done with this, you want to listen to the Loki review, like I said, Rich Fan, WH Park, and Nate Milton. And a cheap plug to Postmarks, the past episode number 25, the 2-year anniversary for Postmarks. David Myers and Bruce Lord were able to talk to Nate Milton for over an hour. Awesome discussion. I'm a huge fan of Nate Milton. When I first started listening to Law, he was one of the first voices I heard along with John and Way. So definitely cool to hear a little bit more about Nate that most people might not know. And as well, if the USC, there is a USC event right now, 295, and tomorrow at 11 a.m., John Pollock and Eric Marcotte will be talking about that as well. As a reminder, this show is free, but only patrons could call in. So check your link or check postwrestling.com or in your email if you want to call in and give us any feedback or questions at the end of the show. But we are going to go into this show. Like I mentioned, it is a taped edition of Collision. It was taped yesterday after Rampage at the Oakland Arena in Oakland, California. Did you get a chance to watch Rampage at all?
I did get a chance to watch Rampage. I watched it live, actually. I quite enjoyed it. I find that Rampage is on a bit of a tear right now because like the last few weeks seem to have they seem to have found a good formula, which is to have one sort of big must-see match that you're not going to get anywhere else, and just a bunch of other kind of pile on a bunch of fun stuff. So I've actually been quite enjoying it, and I think finally it feels like the show has found its feet. I'm hoping that this is a longer term change.
Yeah, and as we'll talk about later on in the show, there is a tournament of sorts happening in AEW, and I didn't get a chance to really look at all the dates, but I'm not sure if Rampage was even listed as where this Continental Classic. I guess we can talk about it now since I guess it's one of the biggest notes coming out of the show tonight. But Tony Khan announced a G1 style round robin tournament starting at the end of November in Chicago with 12 competitors, 2 leagues, 6 men on each side, and the winners will face each other in the finals, and then the winner of that will face at World's End in Long Island at the end of December. So yeah, G1 style, as Tony Khan said, is something that we've been waiting for. We've been clamoring for, according to Tony Khan, and the only announced competitor so far is Bryan Danielson. So yeah, G1 style AEW tournaments. How do you think that is going to go down? Is this something that you wanted, or have you heard any clamoring for this?
I have definitely heard some clamoring, mostly among sort of kind of hardcore online fans, but that is a group that AEW really should be seeking to cater to. They need to kind of shore up that group of original fans that came with them, who I think have been having problems on and off with the overall product in the last year or so. So yeah, I do think there is an appetite for it. They are going to have to do a little bit of work to explain what a G1 style tournament is, but it's not really like it's not that difficult to grasp. It's basically, if you followed sports tournaments, it works very much the same way. You have like an opening round, and then the winners of each block they face off. And I'll be curious to see how it works, because the thing with the G1 is it's not exceptionally well structured for television, and that's always been the block that I think has come up about it, which is that it's a sort of a protracted process that it takes a long time to develop. So I will be curious to see how they handle it and how audiences react to it.
Yeah, for sure. I'm actually intrigued to see how AEW is going to handle this G1 style, the Continental Classic. When I hear that name, I just think of like some fancy hotel, like breakfast or something. I don't know. It just it kind of it sounds really fancy to me. It kind of reminds me of like the old Continental in the John Wick movies. But yeah, we'll talk a little bit more about that as we get into the show itself. Funny thing is, once this show started, the first thing I saw, because there is a little delay when I watch it on TNT's website, the first image I saw at 8 p.m. was John Cena in a hospital bed. And I'm like, what is going on right now? And I didn't realize they were showing the ending of the Suicide Squad movie that he was in, where he is shown at the end of the bed. It's funny the timing, because he just had surgery. And I'm like, why are they going to John Cena in a hospital to start AEW? But that wasn't the case. We do get our intros as usual from Adam Copeland. It's going to take a while for me to say that name right. Adam Copeland, Darby Allin, and Sting, who says they're getting ready for showtime. We have the Righteous Lance Archer and Jake the Snake saying that everybody will die. LFI, who says they're coming for the tag titles. Don Callis and Powerhouse Hobbs, who says that anyone can get it. And then Daniel Garcia promises to dance over Andrade's body. And Andrade says that we will find out tonight what his decision is with CJ Perry. So the commentary team for tonight is Tony Schiavone and Nigel McGuinness, carrying over from their commentary from Rampage. So I guess no Kevin Kelly, no Ian Riccaboni. Maybe the fact that it was taped on a Friday, maybe their schedules don't work out. I know that Kevin Kelly wasn't on Lone Star Shootout, as far as I know. It was Veda Scott and Walker Stewart.
No, it was Walker Stewart. Yeah.
Gotcha. So yeah, so it could just be a case of them just not being able to work on a Friday. But I'm okay with the two-man team of Nigel and Tony Schiavone here. We start the show with Andrade El Idolo versus Daniel Garcia, and Andrade comes out first wearing this fancy new red mask. We don't see CJ at first, but then a little bit of suspense here, as CJ Perry does come out shortly after with him to be in his corner. And we see Miro in the back. And of course, he doesn't look too happy about his wife being in another man's corner. They start the match slow, working on arm drags and twisting each other's wrist. A little bit more back and forth as Andrade hits the Tranquilo. And then Garcia tries to follow us up with his dance, but Andrade stops him. I think that's what you should do in wrestling. Like, if somebody stops to start dancing or doing their pose, don't just like stop there and just watch it. Like, you're in a fight, right? You want to fight these guys. This brings up an interesting tangent I want to go on, because I was watching this past week's episode of Ring of Honor, and there was a match. It was billed as the brothers of former Ring of Honor world champions, Dralistico versus Gravity. And there was a spot that I felt like went on for like a minute too long, where Gravity is doing his, if you guys haven't seen Gravity before, he basically like mocks like he's walking on the moon. He does it during his entrance. He does it during some of the moves. But he's doing this like around Dralistico for like a good like minute, and Dralistico's just like watching him, just like, okay, are you done with this? Attack him, like, if this guy's like, if this guy doing something that's annoying to you, just beat him up. I don't know. Something I just want to get off my chest about people just watching their opponents do their taunts or dances. But yeah, how do you feel about this? I know people bring it up with Penta, but now Daniel Garcia as well. But at least Andrade was smart enough and stopped them in his tracks.
Yeah, I think I definitely notice it. There are a lot of spots like that, though. Like, it's not merely dancing. Like, it's this, when guys walk the ropes, it's not that difficult to stop them. Just shake the ropes, they'll fall down. There's always a suspension of disbelief with wrestling, and some spots require a lot more suspension than others. Yes, this is definitely one of them.
Andrade knocks Garcia off the apron and tries to go for the moonsault, but Garcia smartly moves so Andrade can't hit it. Back inside the ring, Andrade hits a top rope crossbody for a 2 count, and then Garcia ends up kneeing Andrade in the back as he goes crashing to the outside from the apron. Garcia then decides to go over to CJ Perry and starts doing his dance right in front of her, and she kind of like smiles a little bit and kind of like starts to do the dance herself, but that was pretty much the only exchange between these two. Garcia sends Andrade back inside the ring and stays in control as we go to picture-in-picture. When we come back after battling on the top rope, Garcia is able to get Andrade down and puts on the ankle lock as CJ looks a little bit concerned. Andrade gets out of this, though, and hits a pair of dragon screws and a running forearm as both men are laid out. Andrade follows us with the running double knees to the corner, but Garcia is able to kick out at 2. Andrade heads to the top rope, but Garcia knocks him down and starts kicking the leg that he fell on. They start trading suplexes here with Andrade going for the 3 Amigos spot, but Garcia is able to stop him with a brainbuster for a 2 count. Andrade then comes back with his double moonsault, getting a 2 count. They start trading strikes back and forth until Andrade stops Garcia and puts on the figure 4 into the figure 8 to get the submission win at 15 minutes and 45 seconds. We cut to Miro, who's backstage, kind of like smiling and laughing about this. So obviously I think he's got some evil intentions for Mr. Andrade here. But yeah, what did you think of this match? And kind of came out of nowhere, this Andrade Garcia match, but I definitely liked the matchup.
Yeah, I liked it. I actually think I might have liked the match better than the Garcia versus MJF one, just as a match. I think that they're very well paired. I'd like to see them again. This really had to go in Andrade's favor because you're introducing him as a client of CJ's. I like that pairing a lot. I've talked about how I wanted to see them go ahead with this. I do think it's kind of funny, like when they were showing Miro and Andrade, there is a physical resemblance there, and that kind of made me chuckle because you could definitely see it when you're showing them. They're both sort of similar coloring, so they've got the beard, and so the parallels that kind of augments the feud in a way that she's paired up with this person who is kind of similar to her actual husband.
Yeah, as when Andrade won with the figure 8, it kind of clicked in my head like, oh yeah, I forgot that Ric Flair's in this company. They could possibly do something down the road if they wanted to with Andrade and Ric Flair. And then I thought about it and I said, you know what? Every single competitor that was involved in Ric Flair's last match is actually working for this company now, because we have Jay Lethal, you have Jeff Jarrett, even Karen Jarrett is there. So if Tony Khan wants to claim, that, and he wants to retcon it and say, hey, his last match was for AEW in some way or fashion, I'm sure he can definitely maneuver that. But yeah, can you see Andrade possibly doing something with Ric Flair? I know like they were kind of putting him dead center in the poster for the Charlotte show that's coming up soon. But can you see Ric Flair and Andrade possibly doing something?
I hope not. I don't want to think about it. Actually, John, what I'm going to do, if you could just hold tight for a second, my sound and video are choppy, and I'm going to see if I can get back in. Sorry to everyone, but I will be right back. Give me a couple seconds.
No problem. Yeah, I did hear a little bit of a delay, so if anybody hears any audio issues, please let us know. Let me just read the chat a little bit. We have Brian here who says that FTR versus Vikingo and Commander from Rampage is definitely worth checking out. I agree. That definitely was a good match. Ryan T said they claimed that Kevin Kelly was on assignment. Okay, so that makes sense. And then we have AEW Women's Division blog saying that the round robin tourney rocks and is good, as Kate is back with us. How's it sounding, Kate?
Yes. Sounds okay for now. Hopefully, hopefully things are a little more even keel from now on.
Gotcha. They show footage from Dynamite this past week where we had they showed the replay of the attack. So we finally get another attack from these masked assailants. This time I think it was 4 people that were attacking the Acclaimed and Billy Gunn, putting him through real glass, and then we kind of cut to the actual devil mask themselves. Finally a little bit of an update here. Any ideas who you think it is, or who you might think it is, or do you even care about this whole storyline and what's going on here? Or do you think they're actually doing a good job with it? Because I think if they start to continue like actually like doing more attacks, and I think this whole mystery actually means something.
Yeah, I think that it's going to be very interesting. I hear a lot of people talking about this. I'm invested at this point, not just in who the person in the devil mask is, but in who the others around him are, because now you're not just talking about one person. I mean, clearly it was always a group, but they really seem to be emphasizing that. So it's fun sort of trying to pinpoint different things about each member of this group that could identify them. I mean, there are obvious choices, there are less obvious choices, there are crazy choices out there. And yeah, I'm genuinely curious to see where they go with this. And all the more so because I'm pretty sure that when they first did this, it was always going to be Adam Cole with Roderick Strong in the Kingdom. And it still may be a variation of that. But I get the feeling that they had to kind of readjust when Cole got injured.
Yeah, I'm definitely intrigued by this. I see all these like theories. It could be Jack Perry. Of course, everybody's gonna, not everybody, but some people are gonna throw in CM Punk's name, and it's like, I don't even know how I'd react to that if I were to find out it was CM Punk behind all this. I honestly don't know how I'd react. I don't know if I'd like just throw my hands in the air or if I'd just be glued to the screen. It's I don't know. I don't want to think about it, but there's definitely theories out there. I'm sure we'll get calls later on. Which your best Devil's Mask theory? I heard Britt Baker is one. Just so many names out there for sure. We go back to the action here as Nick Wayne, who comes out with Christian Cage and Luchasaurus, takes on Dalton Castle. Nigel brings up the fact that Nick Wayne wants to take his Christian's name, which I'm pretty sure I made that Nick Cage joke a couple weeks back, so I definitely want them to run with this. One little thing before we get to the actual match itself. So Dalton Castle, I'm a little confused with this guy because I'm pretty sure like he was a heel or trying to act like a heel just last week when he interrupted the Acclaimed, but now he's, I guess, back in a babyface role in this match. And not only that, but at the end of Ring of Honor, he cuts a promo to end the show, and he's challenging, Eddie Kingston next week for the Ring of Honor World Championship. So it's like, it's weird because like you want to separate Ring of Honor and AEW, but at the same time, like your characters are on both shows doing two different roles. You have like Dalton Castle going back and forth between being a babyface and a heel, and then he's challenging for your biggest title in Ring of Honor. So why put him in a position where has to lose to a Nick Wayne on a Collision? Not saying that like Nick Wayne doesn't deserve the victory, but you could choose anybody else to take that spot. I don't think somebody who's challenging for your Ring of Honor title should be losing to a Nick Wayne on a Collision.
Yeah, I'm not really sure what they were doing with this match because from what I understand, it was actually taped before. And when he came out, like Dasha actually announced it as your opening match. So it was already like, it felt kind of weird. Like it was sort of added, like it was intended to be maybe not part of the show and then just was added in afterwards, but it didn't really add anything to the show. Nick Wayne's offense still looks very much babyface-like, and so it's a little like, I think with Christian you can buy him as a heel, but just on his own it doesn't come across that much. And yeah, Dalton Castle was presented as a heel against the Acclaim, so it's kind of all over the place.
So let's get to the match here. They start the match doing a little bit of posing until Castle is able to hold Wayne down with a waist lock before pulling him into the corner into a trap suplex. Castle reminding people how extremely powerful he is. I tend to forget how strong he is, but when he's like whipping Nick Wayne back and forth from this like gut wrench position, it's like ridiculously how strong Dalton Castle really is. Wayne takes control and starts stomping on Castle, who gets a little chant behind him. A bit more back and forth until Castle knocks down Wayne with a lariat and hits a couple more suplexes. Wayne escapes out of a bangerang attempt, but Castle catches Wayne from the Wayne's World attempt into a German suplex. Luchasaurus tries to get on the apron, but the boys stop him just to get chokeslammed to their deaths on the outside. Castle goes to stop Luchasaurus, then Christian gets on the apron, distracting the referee as Wayne takes advantage and hits the Wayne's World for the pin at 6 minutes and 53 seconds. I really wish they would have made some sort of like joke with the boys and Dalton Castle and possibly Christian Cage trying to ask him at least if Dalton Castle is their father, if they even have a father. I was hoping they would do some sort of joke with that, but they totally ignored that. We get a video from Hangman Adam Page, who talks about Swerve Strickland making the biggest mistake in his life when he went to his home, and at Full Gear, they will have a Texas death match. Hangman promises to take Swerve to the abyss and leave him in fire for eternity. And then he says that every November, he will bring his son to Swerve's grave to piss on it. I really hope he doesn't do that. I don't want him to murder Swerve, because I need to see Swerve versus Speedball at House of Glory next month first, at least. But yeah, pretty vicious promo here from Hangman Page. But we did get confirmation this is a Texas death match, and yeah, I guess he'll bring his son to Swerve's grave every year just to piss on it.
As one does. Hangman's an extremely underrated promo. I know I've said that before, but yeah, this works really well. Texas Deathmatch is kind of becoming his thing, so that I'm interested to see it. The one with Moxley remains probably in my top 10 of the year, so I don't know how they're going to top that. A little scared to know how they're going to top that. I'm also going to be curious to see who wins this one, because I think the obvious thing would be that you trade the win back, but I sort of feel like Swerve has all this momentum right now and has shown that he's a guy, like, he's there, he's putting in a ton of work, and I think that he is a very good candidate to take the belt off MJF. So I don't know if you want to have him continue with this feud with Hangman, or if you just want to move him on from that, and maybe that opens the door to do something very different with Hangman, sort of explore this kind of darker, more vicious, dare I say, heelish side to him.
Yeah, I mean, Hangman pretty much promised us death, right? So if he beats Swerve, he pretty much has to kill him. So because of that fact, I feel like Swerve is going to win this match and get the victory over Hangman. But then we don't know. I feel like a lot of these people that we're watching tonight are going to be in this Continental Classic, including Swerve. I can see that possibly being something that he enters in and gets some really good matches out of, and possibly wins it. But as far as this match goes, I feel like Swerve, in my opinion, Swerve should be the one to go over. We go to our next match. We have Dralistico and Rush of La Fusión Incondicional versus the Workhorsemen, as Dralistico and Anthony Henry start the match, and right away we go into pin attempts, kicks, and a tiaras. The Workhorsemen start double teaming Dralistico in their corner as JD Drake tags in. Nigel and Tony Schiavone, they bring up Drake's bowling background, and they start, I guess, arguing back and forth if bowling is considered a sport or not. I'm not going to get involved. I don't want to upset anybody. Rush tags in, and right away him and Drake start chopping away. Rush knocks Henry to the outside and tags in Dralistico as we go into picture-in-picture. When we come back, we have LFI double teaming on Drake, and Dralistico hits a wild dive to the outside, just barely clearing it. Like, he almost, like, he scared the crap out of me the way he landed, but hopefully Dralistico is okay. Rush follows this with the bull's horns to JD Drake to get the pin at 8 minutes and 25 seconds. When I saw that the Workhorsemen didn't get an entrance, I'm like, oh, I hope this is not a squash match. But they got a lot more offense that I expected here, going over 8 minutes. But yeah, what did you think of this tag match?
I think this one may actually have been FTR a while back, which look, it makes me happy. I'm always thrilled to get Workhorsemen content on my television. So I'm glad that they got some stuff in. I'm glad they showed what they could do. It does feel like they're getting more of a soft introduction onto television. They are still on Ring of Honor, but they have been featured more lately, kind of along the same lines as the Righteous, just not given a personality the way that the Righteous have been. So I hope that that's something that continues, because yeah, they're a very entertaining act, and I think that, and truthfully, the tag division in the company needs a little something, and I think that they'd be a good addition to it.
Yeah, I am happy that LFI is kind of like transitioned off of Ring of Honor and they're into the AEW tag team division. I feel like they should definitely be spotlighted on AEW. We see a video from the House of Black as Malachi Black says that they haven't been direct enough, and so that they can acquire the thing that they want the most, and they will have LFI chase them for it. Brody says that the enemy of our enemy is our friend, and he puts out a challenge to Big Bill and Ricky Starks at Full Gear. And then Julia Hart brings up how Willow Nightingale and Chris Statlander brings them up and says that she will beat Willow tonight, and then once she wins, she will get a rematch against Chris Statlander at Full Gear. I didn't realize the House of Black was like the House of Bookers. They're over here just making tag matches and making all types of championship matches, but we'll find out later on that it's not quite how they stated it, but they were kind of correct here. But yeah, I actually liked on Rampage how they had House of Black end the show, and then you had like all four of them standing there, and then you had Buddy kind of step back and Julia step back to kind of give you the idea that it's going to be the Kings of the Black Throne, as they call themselves, Brody King and Malachi Black, kind of going back as a tag team. So stepping away from the trios division and being put in the spotlight as a tag team. I like that because I love the Kings of the Black Throne, but then it's like, what are you going to do with Buddy? Because whenever they do Kings of the Black Throne, Buddy's just kind of waiting in the wings for something to happen. So hopefully they can do something with him while Brody and Malachi are going for the tag titles.
I guess that he could end up going in this tournament, that he could be one of the participants, one of the 12.
Kate, I'm still having a little bit of difficulty, like with your audio kind of going in and out. So I'm not really catching everything. So I'm not sure if you want to maybe exit out and come back in, or change your placement, whatever the case is. Because I'm getting, on my side, at least, I'm getting a couple more audio issues. Kate, are you there?
I am. And
Okay.
what I'm going to do is I'm so sorry to everyone, but yeah, whatever this problem is, the lovely people in the chat room, again, very sorry for this. And I will be back with a clearer connection next week when we'll be here on Friday, right?
Yes, we will be here. Sorry, as I'm trying to catch up to everything here. Then we'll have Kate back here next Friday. We're actually going to be going live next Friday, going head-to-head against Rewind to SmackDown, as Rampage and Collision will be typing back-to-back on Friday as a go-home show before Full Gear. But Kate, if you can hear us, hopefully everything is better. I know you said you had a rough night, and I'm sure this didn't help too much, but hopefully everything is okay, and we'll hear from you soon. Alrighty, it's time for me to go solo. I've done this before, 15 minutes. So there's gonna be 15 minutes or more here talking about the rest of this episode of Collision. So we are going to the next match here. We have Roderick Strong versus Darius Martin. This was set up last night on Rampage. Strong comes out in the full getup here. He has the wheelchair, he has the neck brace on, glasses, etc. Then of course he takes it all off like a superhero and goes right to action here against Martin. They start the match with arm drags and drop kicks before Martin hits the double rope crossbody for a 2 count. Strong keeps Martin in the corner before hitting the 10 punches in the corner while screaming at Martin to never say Adam. So Roderick Strong's been doing this thing lately where pretty much like anybody's name or like the name of the city, he just screams it out in the same way that he would do with Adam. So it's kind of like his thing now. He just likes to scream people's names or scream cities' names. So hopefully it doesn't get too played out here. But I'm okay with it because I am a fan of Roderick Strong. Martin comes back with a whipping Strong in the corner, but Strong stops him in his tracks with a drop kick. Martin follows this with a Manhattan drop and an enziguri and keeps Strong in the corner with chops. Martin comes back with a beautiful step-up Pele kick in the corner that he's been doing lately here. Strong stops Martin with a knee when he was entering the ring, followed by the sick kick and the end of the heartache for the pin and the win at 5 minutes and 53 seconds. I know that I think it was Matt Taven had actually called it the end of the neck ache, so I'm not sure if they're going to target more of the neck and call it that from now on. The Kingdom kept attacking Martin after and hit him with the wiener punch and a spiked pile driver. Action Andretti, he runs in just a little too late here to help his friend. This is the part where we have the announcement of the Continental Classic. So we have Tony Khan and Bryan Danielson are in the back as Tony Khan brings up this being a sad year, as Danielson said that he's wrapping up his career. Khan brings up how it was upsetting that Danielson missed last year's All In due to injury, but he promises that Danielson will be on the show next year. So I hope they put him in bubble wrap. And if they somehow can't deliver that, then that's going to be upsetting for the Wembley crowd. Khan announces the Continental Classic. So this is a round robin style tournament with 12 competitors in 2 leagues of 6. The tournament will start on November 22nd in Chicago and will run for 6 weeks. It will continue in Pittsburgh, Minneapolis, Erie, Pennsylvania, Montreal, Dallas, Oklahoma City, and San Antonio, with the league finals being in Orlando, Florida. And then the championship final will happen at World's End. So they didn't really, unless I missed it, if anybody in the chat heard something that I didn't, they just said it's going to be the championship final. So I guess it's a 2 league finals going at each other. But they didn't really, as far as I know, they didn't announce what the winner of the overall tournament would get. I'm guessing it's a AEW World title shot. I'm not sure if it's a new title, if it's a cup. They didn't really state, as far as I know, what it was. But the only competitor announced so far was Bryan Danielson. So yeah, this guy who looks like Snake from Metal Gear Solid with the eye patch on has already promised to be at Wrestle Kingdom, to be at All In next year, as well as being in this 6-week tournament. So hopefully Bryan Danielson can stay healthy throughout this entire thing as he wraps up his wrestling career. As Brian says here, they didn't announce a prize for the winner. Thank you. So yeah, hopefully it's not another championship. I don't want the Continental Championship. If you're going to do it, give me a cup at least. Do like a Continental Cup, and you could use that to cash it in against a world title shot whenever you choose. Surin says, remember that time in NXT when someone in Undisputed Era got injured and Roddy just ran in and carried the match? That's what Siino is doing right now. We go to the next match here. We have Julia Hart versus Willow Nightingale. Willow starts the match, overpowering Julia, sending her to the outside as Willow and Brody start barking at each other. Willow stays in control, hitting the running crossbody for a 2 count. Willow puts on the gory special as Sky Blue is watching from the back. Julia tries to come back here, but gets stopped right into a side slam from Willow. They take it to the outside where Willow hits Julia with a suplex as we go to picture-in-picture. When we come back, Willow kicks Julia down before hitting a spinebuster for a 2 count. Julia comes back with splashes in the corner, a snapmare, a lariat to the back of the head before trying to put on the Heartless, but Willow is able to overpower her. Willow murders Julia with the pounce, and they fight on the outside as Julia moves out of the way, and Willow crashes into the steel steps while trying to hit a cannonball. Julia sends Willow back inside and teases the moonsault, but Willow stops her and hits a full Nelson slam for a 2 count. Willow tries to Dr. Bomb, but Julia escapes. She lands right on her butt, hits another lariat, followed by the top rope moonsault. This one is not pretty as she's been doing usual. It was a little bit awkward on the landing. It might have been the camera angle. I'm not sure why they kind of switched in mid-move. It kind of made the move look a little awkward, but it could have just been just me. But she does get the win here at 11 minutes and 57 seconds to be the first entrant in this 3-way match for the TBS Championship. I actually like this match. It's actually pretty good here, Willow and Julia. These two styles definitely worked with each other, with Willow obviously being the more powerful one here, and Julia kind of having to escape and get out of the moves to get the win here, and she definitely did. So I'm just going to predict that Sky Blue is going to get the win over Red Velvet, so I think that's going to be the triple threat match. I think it's kind of obvious to have Julia and Sky Blue, and then we don't know if it's going to be them on the same side, if it's them possibly like, you know, working together or kind of like not working together, but I'm sure that's the story going into this, is this whole Sky Blue and Julia Hart. Lexi Nair is with Big Bill and Ricky Starks and asks how she feels about how they feel about all these teams gunning for their titles. They start saying how they don't want to be bothered with any of them. Big Bill tells them to stay away from them. They don't want to see them. They don't want to hear from them, especially when they're at catering. And then Lexi breaks the news to them that they are indeed facing all 3 teams at Full Gear, and they show a graphic that Big Bill and Ricky Starks will defend the AEW Tag Team Championships against FTR, the Kings of the Black Throne, and Dralistico and Roosh of LFI. Powerhouse Hobbs comes out against an enhancement talent that doesn't even get a name. I was able to identify him as Titus Alexander because luckily he has his name on his tights. Paul White joins commentary for this match as Hobbs just destroys Titus here in the corner and tells White to pay attention as this is how he used to be. Hobbs stops him with a spinebuster, followed by the world's greatest slam to get the pin at 57 seconds. Don Callis then gets on the mic and says the Don Callis family is the best family in wrestling, bigger than the Briscoes, bigger than the Gagnes, bigger than the Von Erichs, and bigger than the Harts. Callis brings up how Hobbs destroyed Jericho so bad he had to go call Paul White up. He calls White an idiot for facing off against his family and says it's not too late to change his mind, and says that they both know what Jericho really is, a narcissistic psychopath, and he will use White just like he used him. Callis then gets in White's face and calls him a scared giant, but it's okay to be scared of him because he runs things here. Callis talks about burying 2 giants in his career, and he will have Hobbs bury a 3rd one. And then Hobbs kind of gets in his face. White gets up. They kind of start pushing the announce table against each other. And that pretty much ends this segment as they are getting ready for the, let's see if I can remember it. The Like a Dragon, Gaiden, the man who erased his name street fight. I'm pretty sure that's the name of the title. When I wrote my report for Dynamite, I wrote that title as a joke, thinking they weren't going to ever use the full title, but they actually are using that in the graphics. So kind of gives me thoughts of the, what was it? The 3 Kings, $300,000 Battle Royal, whatever that was called. Yeah, they kind of have to stop with these long names here. Lexi is backstage with FTR and says that they've been on a roll lately, and FTR starts hyping up themselves and says their focus is to become the AEW Tag Team Champions once again. And it doesn't matter who's in this match, as their road to becoming champions again starts now. We go to the final match here, the main event, Lance Archer and the Righteous versus Darby Allin, Sting, and Adam Copeland. Now, going into the show, I did look at the results after the fact to kind of see like the placement, because I know a lot of times when they tape shows, they like to kind of mess around with the placement of the matches. Like, for example, whenever they go into Ring of Honor tapings, they usually they tape the main event first, just kind of get the crowd to stay there. Like this past week, they had Eddie Kicks In and Helico, but then they'll air it after the event as it makes more sense. So a similar thing here, as this match was actually taped earlier on in the show, but they actually aired it as the main event. And they also had another match with Claudio Castagnoli and Toa Leona that I guess that was only for the crowd because they didn't show that on this show. Adam Copeland and Dutch start the match, with Copeland getting the upper hand as Vincent and Darby quickly tag in. Vincent headbutts Darby and tags out to Lance Archer. Darby slaps himself off of Archer and backs up into Sting, who tags himself in to Darby's surprise. Archer and Sting start having a woo-off, which I'm pretty sure made Archer giddy as a child inside. Sting takes out the Righteous on the apron before clotheslining Archer to the outside as they head to picture-in-picture. And I can see a little bit in the picture-in-picture kind of Sting and Archer taking it to the ringside for a little bit. When we come back, Vincent is on the attack now on Sting back in the ring, and the heels are keeping Sting in their corner as they all take turns hitting Sting with splashes. Sting is able to fight them off and eventually make the tag to Darby, who right away knocks Vincent down with a shotgun dropkick and hit splashes in the corner. Darby tries to fight all three off, but Big Dutch stops him with the clothesline on a Code Red attempt as they go to picture-in-picture again. And when we come back, just in time to see Archer tossing Darby to the other side of the ring, just like he was a toy. Copeland gets the hot tag and goes to town on the Righteous, as well as spearing Archer off the apron. He follows this by sending Vincent and Dutch before diving onto all three of them. I'm surprised that Copeland hit this move, but definitely looked pretty good here. Copeland sends Vincent back inside and sets up for another spear, but Archer trips him up. Darby takes Archer on the outside with a coffin drop as Dutch hits a boss man slam on Copeland, and then Sting fights off the Righteous, including a Scorpion Death Drop, flying elbow combo from Copeland to Dutch. Stinger splash to Vincent, followed by the spear from Copeland to get the pin at 16 minutes and 21 seconds. And as they're celebrating, Christian, Luchasaurus, and Nick Wayne make their way to the ramp here as Nigel kind of mocks Tony Schiavone's Sting by saying Christian's name here. So, yeah, good match to start to end the show here. It is actually Copeland's second match in AEW and first match on Collision here. But obviously, keep the trio strong here as they go into full gear. At this point, we're going to go to calls, and we got a bunch of people here waiting. So if you have any thoughts at all or any comments on tonight's Collision or Rampage or anything else you saw this week, now is the time. And we are going to start with the first caller here. We have Rob. Rob, welcome to Collision Course.
Hello, good to be here. Great review. I really enjoyed it.
Thank you. How are you doing today?
I'm very tired. I'm from the UK. Have a mild cold, and on Saturday night I'd usually be out, but I'm not. And thought, why not? I watched some Collision, and I'm grateful for it. I thought it was a decent show. I really enjoyed the Willow Julia Hart match. I thought Julia Hart, she's 21, something ridiculous.
She just turned 22.
22. I take that back. 22 should be better by now. I'm joking. She's fantastic. Willow. Who doesn't love Willow? And I thought I was a little disappointed to see that Willow is not going to be part of this TBS title match at the pay-per-view. It's going to be a three-way as opposed to a four-way. What do you think about that? As four-way, I feel like Willow.
Yeah, especially the way they were hyping her. Like they kept showing her in the back. She was kind of like getting into it and kind of like just like getting really amped up into it, getting to this match. Then she ended up losing it. But with the storyline that's going on with her kind of being like in the middle of like Julia Hart and Chris and even Sky Blue here, you would think she would have been involved in this match. And yeah, I totally agree with you. I think a four-way would have made more sense for this championship. It was actually funny when they went to the back and like, I think Statlander even forgot what title she had for a second because I don't know if you caught it, but she was kind of like, you can challenge me for this, like she forgot like what to name it. So, but it's like, this is an edited show. So if you have like little slip-ups like this, I'm sorry, it's a tape show. So if you have little slip-ups like this, and even like the Nigel line that some people might have found offensive, who knows? They could have definitely edited it out, but I feel like they just aired it as is. But yeah, I totally agree with you. I think Willow definitely should have been in this match. Yes.
And I maybe with Chris, her delivery is somewhat because of the best friends kind of humor. It's a bit kind of stunted, like I am right now. So it's kind of charming sometimes, but yeah, sometimes it's like, could they have done another take? Maybe I don't know. Maybe I don't know what they were going for. But I saw Adam Copeland second match. I'm still, just like you, still used to calling him Edge. But he looks like he's having fun. That's good. That kind of comes through. Like he's very the way he gets the crowd. Just I love that. It's just some 101 babyface stuff, but it's Adam Copeland. He's really good. I was going to say, sorry, regarding to the women's match. This is, I believe, since Double or Nothing, this will be the first time they've had two women's matches on the main card, from what I could tell. Basically, since Jade has dropped the title. I guess you can say there's three on Double or Nothing because Jade had that impromptu match with Chris Statlander, but I don't know, don't want to get too geeky, but I thought that's kind of feel like there's been a slight, on pay-per-views at least, ever since Jade has dropped the title, there's been a slight decrease on the already not very well represented women's division on pay-per-views, but oh well. But yeah, and also my favorite match of the night have to be the Workhorsemen against LFI. Oh, just Jetty Drake, he's a man after my own heart. I wish I could bowl as half as good as he could wrestle, which is like half as good as he can bowl, or good double. He's a very good bowler is what I mean to say. But Roosh is just, he petrifies me. He's so intense, the way he just... when they had a firing up spot, him and JD Drake, and JD's just chopping him, and Roosh is like, come on, and it's that fire up babyface thing, but it's Roosh, he's not a babyface, he's just terrifying, and I feel like maybe one problem he might have is he's not the best at selling, like prolonged selling afterwards, but it's Roosh. I don't know if you want that out of Roosh. But yeah, it's good to see Workhorsemen on TV, LFI, the renewed push they're getting since coming back to TV, and the four-way tag that they're going to be in. Do you have any idea how that's going to go? Because that seems, it could be a lot of fun, also a mess.
Yeah, I feel like they tend to do like these especially tag matches on these pay-per-views. And yeah, this is a really interesting match because you have like LFI who just like returned, right? You have FTR who's trying to build to their next championship. You have Bill and Starks who just won the title. And then you have the Kings of the Black Throne who are trying to establish themselves as a tag team now, stepping away from the trio. So yeah, definitely a lot of ways you can go with this one. I honestly could see Big Bill and Ricky Starks dropping the titles because I feel like something about them they don't feel like a tag team to me, and I feel like they're facing off against 3 like legit tag teams, I guess you can say. So I could definitely see them dropping the titles. I just don't know to who. I can't see FTR grabbing it back. I probably would put it on the Kings of the Black Throne. If you're gonna make them a tag team, make them a series tag team, actually put the titles on them. And like Kate had mentioned earlier, put Buddy in this Continental Classic. Yeah, we didn't get your thoughts on the Continental Classic. What are your thoughts on this like 12-man round robin style? Is this something that you wanted in AEW to try at least?
Oh yeah, this is if Tony Khan said before the show on Twitter, important announcement, I'd be like but this was definitely what I wanted. As someone who got into New Japan like many other people through the Kenny Omega Kazuchika Okada match in Wrestle Kingdom 2017, this New Japan influence on American televised wrestling is just, I love it. I can't get enough of it. I'm actually staying up another hour to watch DDT because that's how much I'm ill too, and it's a Saturday night and there's nothing else to do. It's strange. Saturday night, it's Sunday morning.
And looking at your name there, you're an exhausted British person, and you're just going to stay up to watch DDT. I was very happy that they actually did reference this match on Rampage, which I know like John and Wai were like questioning, they haven't even pushed this match, and they did have like a last minute push for it. But the only thing is like it was very bare bones. Like they didn't even tell you like where they were wrestling. Like they just said in Tokyo. They didn't say what promotion. They didn't say how to watch it. They just said Jericho and Takeshita are fighting on Sunday in Tokyo. So I guess that's just enough breadcrumbs to kind of like, okay, now you can kind of Google and figure it out on your own. But I'm actually surprised that they gave us something. So I am very happy for that. But yeah, I won't be staying up to watch that, but I definitely am looking forward to that. As stated, it is an AEW storyline that just happens to be happening in a different promotion in a different country. But it's definitely very important to AEW for sure. Yeah, as far as the Continental Classic goes, like I'm hoping we get like names that don't really get too much TV time, that get a chance to kind of wrestle, that are good wrestlers, because we have a lot of good wrestlers, obviously. I want to see like Swerve Strickland. I want to see like Daniel Garcia. I want to see like a Buddy Matthews. I want to see like these guys that can go with it, that I would love to see in a G1. Just do it here, stateside for AEW. But yeah,
we could get the Chase Owens of AEW could show up, because New Japan G1s are a bit, I know everyone's in them, we tag wrestlers and all that kind of stuff. WH Park, I know, is not a fan of that at all, from what I hear on the reviews. But yeah, it looks 12 people, but it did say in I don't know if it was on the broadcast, but Tony Khan said top wrestlers, which is subjective. So hopefully, I would like to see that. I would like to see some more, because that roster is so huge and there's so many underutilized talents on that roster, and it's a real pick. You can make it 12 men. It should be 18. Give me more. Give me 25. I know it's an odd number, but why not?
Gotcha. Thank you so much for your thoughts, Rob, and please call back. Call us next week and let us know what you thought of this Jericho Takeshita match.
Oh, I will. Hopefully I won't be too bleary-eyed by then. But yeah, thank you, John, and hope Kay has a better day tomorrow than she did today.
Yes. Get some rest, Rob. Get some rest for all of us.
Maybe.
We go next up, regular caller of the show here,
Hansi
from Beverly Hills. What's going on, Hansi?
Beverly Hills. No, I was gonna actually, I was like doing stuff, but I was gonna actually come to the chat earlier and like try to like at least help with the co-hosting duties. But listen, man, with the code you can't win them all. But you guys, like, you did for someone that like had to like deal with all the technical difficulties, bro. You're championing them pretty good. Like you're like dealing with it. So pat yourself on the back, man. Pull a Barry Horowitz, First, one of the things that like I always dislike about Roosh is like if it's an important match. I understand if it's like a showcasing match, but I found they did a better job in this episode. That one thing I hate is that like if you can finish your opponent with your finishing move, I don't get why he always fakes out, because it's like, dude, you can finish him right there. You know what I mean? So at least in this case, somebody pulled him out before he actually attempted to do it. Because I always get sick of like him faking out and then like just like you could have just finished the guy, and it normally ends up costing him the match eventually. So that's why I always dislike about Roosh matches, even though I love his intensity. Would you agree?
No, for sure. It definitely, like, to me, it's a little difficult to consider him a babyface to me, because the way he just comes off, it's always like heel to me. So it takes a little bit. It's gonna take a little bit getting used to actually see him like in a babyface role. But I agree with you. I think sometimes he does try to a little too much with the faking with the bull's horns thing. Yeah, he does do a little bit too much to the point where like his competitors have to kind of catch on to that and kind of be able to stop it at this point. He does it so much.
Well, no, the other thing that I did appreciate is that when he was doing the Tranquilo pose, he got out of it pretty quickly because Anthony Henry was gonna dive on him. So I kind of like, if you're gonna have your guys like kind of show off during the matches, at least show that it backfired. Because like one of the things that I like about Julia Hart's matches, I really like how they continuously let her get the body trip. And in this match, like they've already got you used to her body tripping everyone successfully. That Willow actually countered the body trip, and I don't know why I pop for that, but it's a small thing. I guess because in wrestling, like people have done it, and people just dump over somebody, right? So I always appreciate like just small things like that. You know what I mean? So I appreciate Julia's character, and as much as I've given the women's division booking shit, I'll say that at least that they're putting the Statlander match and the women's match on the women's title match on the cards at least. I hope it isn't like a kickoff match. It does because with the build that Willow and Willow, Julia, Sky Blue, and all of them have done with the limited time they've gotten, I think they've earned a spot where it's supposed to be on the main card. Would you agree?
I'm pretty confident it's going to be in the main card. The only kickoff match that they made official was the MJF and mystery partner against the Guns. Everything else, as far as I saw, has been announced on the main card, so hopefully it stays that way. But yeah, I know you called in last night to rewind the SmackDown with some like theories with this devil mask here. Could be CM Punk, could it be CJ Perry's brother Jack? Who knows who it could be? Like, there's so many different options. But has anything changed in the last 24 hours to kind of give you any other ideas or any like solidified thoughts going into this devil's mask?
The thing is, I'm wondering if like I have to, because what makes it difficult for me is how are these beatdowns any different than other beatdowns, right? So like it's all convoluted a little bit, but if they have a good end result for it, like people won't listen. No matter what, people will be disappointed if it's Jack Perry. I personally wouldn't mind if it's Jack Perry. Like, you know what I mean? Like, if he's the one that's leading Roddy and the Kingdom, and maybe, you know what I mean? Because they're making it a little too obvious that it might be Cole, that, like, I don't believe that it could be Cole. And then if it's MJF somehow trying to make himself look like a victim in all this, you know what I mean? Like, that would, like, to me, I figure, one thing I figure is that since they targeted Jay White, I figure, like, part of me wonders if, like, the Bullet Club are kind of in on it as well, like in the sense that maybe Switchblade is getting.
Do you mean Bullet Club Gold or like the Bullet Club like New Japan side?
Well, I'm saying Bullet Club. Like if Juice Robinson and the Guns are with whoever this masked man is, then to me it's not only against MJF, but they're also trying to get rid of Switchblade as the leader, which like then ties in. Could it be like like the Bullet Club as a whole? Like, you know what I mean? Like I what would make this more interesting is that like if they took my idea about the QTV shit, like where they started doing all the goofy stuff and they made it a web exclusive thing, like a TMZ level thing, and they had like QTV reporters and doing segments where you're breaking down these mysteries and all that kind of stuff, like so you don't waste television time doing it. At least if it catches traction online. That's one thing that I think is missing from this, is that there needs to be more analysis from people in the company in the storyline of who they think it is, breaking it down, like to make it seem like it's a mystery, because it's only us just making a big deal about it where we then will get disappointed by it, right? Like, is there anybody like for example, if MJF is revealed as being the devil and somehow some convoluted way, I think that would be more on the turn of the thing of Mr. McMahon revealing that it's me, the higher power. So would you see like who would be the most disappointing like result for you if you had to choose?
Probably CM Punk, honestly, because if we find out this entire time we've been worked, I think that'll be the biggest disappointment for me. Don't get me wrong, I'll still be intrigued in it. I'll still watch every week, but I would be like really extremely. I'd have so many more questions coming out of it. I'd be like, what happened? Did he actually get fired? Did he come back? Like, I had so many questions coming out of it. But at least it would get the world talking, right? So that's the one positive about it. But I would be disappointed with that. I don't want something like a Jack Perry, like push this guy. You know, like he has a lot of momentum coming out of this whole real life ordeal. Why not put him in a spotlight like that?
No, I wouldn't mind that. Here's another interesting thing. Let's say, for example, it's somehow MJF concocted a convoluted plan, right? What would be interesting about that is that we think Wardlow is the bad guy targeting MJF, but if MJF reveals himself as being the devil, it would automatically put Wardlow in the position of being the babyface that now you want to see MJF get his ass kicked, basically. If they do go that route. But the thing is, they do have to do some really really good explanation of why MJF, because part of me also thinks that like it might be a Pinnacle reunion, but without MJF as the leader, maybe. But like I don't know, like it's interesting though. But like you know what I mean. Like to me, it's like it's more like on the line of like how they execute it. So like, do you see this playing in at full gear? Because the way I envisioned it is like if they're teasing MJF's like maybe last appearance before his contract ends. I envision that like if let's say he doesn't resign, or I don't know if he did resign, but if he didn't resign, I feel like the World's End might be like a finale pay-per-view of like taking the title off him and in a legendary way having an exile from the company if that's the way they go. And because again, the way that it's being hyped up in that regard, you know what I mean? But I'll get your thoughts on that and I'll just take off then.
Yeah, no, I pretty much like agree. I honestly think this whole Devil's Mat thing is going to culminate at the World's End pay-per-view. I feel like that's going to be like the reveal of this whole thing. I don't think we're going to get like an answer as soon as Full Gear. That would be too early. Like we just had our second attack. Then what we're going to find out in a week after, like I think we should wait on it. And World's End is only next month. So I feel like they can go like another month and a half with this storyline. And then, yeah, you kind of playing like what you said with the real life MJF contract situation as well.
Okay, and one final thing.
Sure.
I found the Collision like not. I mean, the taped episode. I didn't think it was like all that great. But I'll say one thing though. I think Roddy's segments are 10 times more entertaining when he's in the ringside area, more so than the
actual wrestling
backstage area.
Okay.
I just like his whole James Brown falling over after doing it. I think this is like honestly his best character work that he's ever done in his career, and it's a shame it took him this long to like finally figure it out. Because he's always been one of my favorite in-ring competitors, whatever. Like he's always been that solid, but he just never had the acting chops. And I think this thing has like, as much as like I hate the sports entertainment aspect of it, I think this has like kind of revolutionized Roddy Strong basically. But I'll take a comment on the air. But thanks for taking my call, bro. I like chatting with you, man, and thanks for chatting with me for a couple minutes before me just kind of just leaving basically. You know what I mean?
No, for sure. No, and Hansi, I have a recommendation before you go. I know you're into podcasting. There's a new podcast I started listening to called it's based on ODB's life. It's called Unique San. They actually have clips of him like on the Howard Stern show. So a lot of things pretty interesting that you might want to check out. But yeah, check it out. ODB Asan Unique is the name of the podcast.
Is it by his son?
No, so it's somebody who was close to him that he grew up with. It's people that have actually like were around him that worked on it. So that's why I gave it a chance. I think you'll definitely appreciate it.
I appreciate it. I'm a huge hip hop fan. I do listen to What Up Doe on the Poison Runner podcast. I enjoy what you guys do on there. So I always enjoy your hip hop takes and all that kind of stuff there, man. So I appreciate it, man. Peace out.
Thank you. Take care, Ozzy. We go next up to Brian. Brian, how's it going tonight?
Oh, I'm doing all right, John. Thanks a lot for the review. And if Kate is listening back to this, I hope she's doing well as well. Pretty fun Collision, I thought. Good action. Julia Hart is really coming a long way. I thought Nick Wayne versus Dalton Castle was oddly boring for the most part until the closing minutes, which, again, it's odd given these two, but whatever. Main event I thought was pretty fun for the sake of this crowd watching Sting and Copeland live. I thought Sting had kind of a rough night, but I'm forgiving. And they're really loading up Full Gear, which is great. And this Continental Classic sounds great. I hope Danielson is okay, obviously, but just because this tournament starts on November 22nd doesn't mean he has to wrestle on November 22nd.
Yeah, I was actually thinking the same thing. Like he can wait till a little bit longer till he actually has his first match. Yeah, I was thinking that. I'm like, well, he's not going to be ready by the 22nd. But then, yeah, I thought the same exact thing where he can actually wait till the later rounds.
Yeah, and hopefully work with guys that He said he was like using like magic tricks or whatever, certain trickery, smoke and mirrors in his early matches, come back from his arm injury. So hopefully something similar here. And tack on to the Roderick Strong talk. He has this. I don't know if you noticed this. He has this shitty mustache now, and combined with his haircut, he looks like a character out of Reno 911 or Super Troopers. It's pretty funny. Yeah, just a real piece of trash. But yeah, his character work has been really fun.
Yeah, one of the bright spots coming out of like the whole NXT 2.0 era was like some of Roddy's like comedy that he was doing backstage. And you could definitely see like that, like to the 10th degree here in AEW, that they're finally giving him like the full reign to do whatever. But yeah, Roddy's a funny guy, man. Like when he's in a neck brace or a wheelchair, no matter what company he's in, I feel like he's just comedy gold.
I don't remember him being as funny as part of Diamond Mine as he is here.
Oh yeah.
But something I wanted to bring up last night with John Way, but I forgot to, so I'll bring it up here on this more AEW centric show. The Like a Dragon Street Fight. So, not sure if you're familiar with this series. The Like a Dragon game series was originally the Yakuza series for taking on this name change 3 years ago. And a couple of these Yakuza games in the past have featured New Japan wrestlers as characters in the game. I think it was Yakuza 6 had the likes of Okada and Tanahashi and Naito as gang bosses. And I believe a remake of one of the earlier games may have had older names. So there's definitely precedence of this game series and pro wrestling being intertwined. So it seems like, it's kind of odd that you had this game sponsorship so heavily in it and like on the apron during Dynamite. But then I think back to this and it's like, okay, it actually makes a little sense here.
Yeah, and obviously Kenny Omega is probably a big fan of the series as well, so I'm sure he was pushing for it as well.
Yeah, no doubt. He's huge in that department. But yeah, and nothing really. I can't really think of anything different that'd be good ideas for who the Devil is outside of Jack Perry, who it was actually like the Post Wrestling Forum, where I first saw the ideas. Like people were talking about that, but again, like seems like a really big role for a guy coming off a suspension. But it makes sense in some respects, but yeah, I can't really think of anyone good. I was thinking just like out of the blue, like supposedly EJ Nduka's under contract, but he doesn't make sense for this role.
I mean, he could be like one of the guys, like one of the muscles in the back. Because I mean, if you remember, like when they did it last time, they had the whole firm came out of this, right? And unfortunately, that didn't work out with everything that happened. But you had some people there that were hopefully going to get a push out of it, like Lee Moriarty and Ethan Page and Big Bill. So maybe they're going to try to attempt that again this time. And like I'm a big fan of EJ Nduka, so I'd be okay with him being part of this group if they have a strong leader in front of them, obviously.
Yeah, that makes sense for the subordinates, because we talked about the Devil, but not the subordinates. But it makes sense for them to be newer people or underpushed people, like the Cole Carters of the world, if you catch my drift. So, but
yeah, absolutely.
I'm not sure if it'd be Cole Carter, but whatever. Yeah, but that's all I got, and enjoy the rest of your weekends.
Cool. Thank you, Brian. Thank you for calling, and I'll hear from you next week. And it looks like our last caller of the day is Muggin. What's going on, Muggin?
What's up, man?
First of all, no spoilers. No Marvel spoilers.
Trust me. I'm going to see that for MCU later, because that's going to be a week from tomorrow. Because I spoke to Rich. He said he and WH are going to record the Marvel's podcast, the Marvel's MCU later separately from tomorrow's scheduled Loki finale. So I'm going to see my thoughts for that. So trust me. By the time you've seen it, you're going to hear the podcast. So I'm going to let everything. I'm going to let all the cats out of the bag.
Good. So since we didn't you saw the movie yesterday, you obviously didn't get a chance to call into to rewind the SmackDown. So first of all, I want to take your thoughts on this new and improved Damage Control. What do you think of this 5-woman tandem?
I feel foolish.
You feel foolish? Why?
Because with Kairi Sane being back in the picture, I thought maybe there was going to be some sort of reckoning. Okay. I guess I didn't get that. So
maybe not yet. Maybe they're waiting. They're waiting for it. Maybe it's not. They're not ready for that just yet.
Well, I mean, I don't want it to drag on for months, because I mean, I would like to think maybe that the other shoe is going to drop at War Games, because I'm not buying Kyrie like sweeping what happened 3 years ago under the rug, because I don't want my intelligence to be insulted. So But here's the thing: the one key takeaway from that is, Bayley is due for a babyface reset, because I feel like it's been 4 years and she needs a new coat of paint. And on top of that, he was being because sorry.
That's good. Okay, so you think coming out of this, Bayley could be the babyface going against like a heel damage control? Okay.
Yeah. Because A, it's been 4 years, and B, Bianca has beaten Asuka. She's beaten Bianca, and she's beaten Charlotte separately and in a multi-person match. So I mean, I feel like Io needs a new opponent, and all four of them turning on Bayley is the way to go. And because let's be honest, I mean, there's very little left for Bayley to do as a heel, and with Roman Reigns, skipping Survivor Series, they're becoming the A storyline for SmackDown.
Gotcha. Were you able to catch Collision tonight? Any thoughts on tonight's show?
No, I wasn't. I didn't watch Collision because I'm trying to finish Raising the Lost Demon, because I rented that from the library, and I have a week left to finish it.
Gotcha.
And, but what I did get from it is I'm glad Swerve and Hangman 2 is going to be a Texas death match, because that to me is driving home that this is Hangman's style, Hangman's signature match, because he hasn't lost that one from Archer to Cole and Moxley. I mean, I feel like he's going to keep the streak going by being Swerve.
I didn't even think about that. Yeah,
it'll protect him. It'll protect Swerve too from taking the pinfall, because pinfall isn't the only way to win this match, because it's a no disqualification, last man standing, that type of it's in that vein. And with now AEW is doing their own version of G1 after NXT did theirs, and they're going to give me an excuse to watch Rampage, because I feel like they need to spread it out across all three, Dynamite, Rampage, and Collision. They need to spread that out.
I was trying to find the graphic, because I feel like they only, unless I'm wrong, I feel like they only highlighted Collision, and I'm actually looking right now. Oh no, Rampage is on here. Okay, so that's good. All three shows are being used here with Dynamite, Rampage, and Collision. So that's good. So at least it'll give us some people to actually have reasoning to tune in on Rampage to watch like a specific match in the tournament they might look forward to. So yeah, it's a very good point. But yeah, are you a fan of this whole concept, and who would you like to see personally be in this tournament?
Ethan Page.
Okay.
Ethan Page is one guy, because Tony Khan mentioned Canada, and I think Ethan Page would be a good choice to be in that one.
It's a good, yeah. I mean, I'm a big fan of Ethan Page. Like when he left the North and Impact and he went to AEW, I expected like really, really big things for him. I'm not saying that he's like failed, but like I expected a lot more from him. And then I liked his team with him and Scorpio Sky when they were the Men of the Year, and then that kind of just ended, and Scorpio got hurt, and now they're kind of both stuck in Ring of Honor, and he's doing the storyline now, Ethan Page, where he's like on a losing streak because of Tony Nese and Josh Wood. So it's like I feel like Ethan Page could be doing a lot more than this feud with Tony Nese on Ring of Honor. So yeah, I'd be totally okay with a Ethan Page being in this. How about somebody like a Danhausen, somebody who we might not have seen wrestle too much, but this is a good opportunity for him to kind of show out.
Yeah, and of course it's been a while since Danhausen has been on TV, and because from what I understand he had surgery.
Yeah, so they hyped up his return, going into Halloween. They had all these vignettes with this, Happy Halloween song, and then they never really said when he was going to show up. And then I think it was Rampage last week, he just randomly walked in the back and was I think with RJ City, and he was like, "Yeah, I'm not ready to return yet." And he just left. And we haven't seen him since. So I don't know if he wasn't cleared to come back yet, or they're just messing with our minds. Maybe he's the devil. Maybe Danhausen is the Devilhausen.
Maybe I would think Jack Perry would be the one behind the mask, because I remember it goes back to a promo where him and MJF saying you're too much of a good guy. I mean, you need to cut some corners. You need to get dirty. So I feel like that it's likely to be him. And speaking of the Burberry one, it's less and less likely that I take back what I said, but Roger Strong being co-tag champions with MJF, because I feel like MJF is running out of friends right now, so I feel like he needs to give Samoa Joe a reason to have his back, and in turn, being tag champions with him will basically give him a world title rematch, because I feel like that's the way to go.
I think that's the idea. He's gonna help him out, scratch my back, I scratch yours type of thing, and he's gonna help him win retain the titles, and then he just got rid of a Ring of Honor title, so he's gonna get another Ring of Honor title just to get to the AEW title. Maybe some things you just have to do, right?
Yeah, and lastly, but not least, Impact has some good matches this week. I mean, it's a little odd with their scheduling because I thought those Bound for Glory Fallout shows were going to come right after, but they did they did the one in England. They did 2 English shows, the one including Turning Point, and Shelley and Gresham was excellent.
Yeah, I haven't checked it out yet, but I heard it was really good, and I am looking forward to next week as well. I know Ospreay and Alexander, I heard, got a little bit of praise, so I'm looking forward to that match. But yeah, the taping schedule was a little bit odd with them kind of showing some of their shows out of order. But the final days of Impact before we get the rebirth of TNA in just a couple of months. But yeah, I've been highly enjoying Impact for sure.
And
did you see the picture of Killer Kelly and Rhea Ripley?
Yeah,
it's been hot. Yeah. So I think there's some convention going on, I think, in New York, if I'm not mistaken. So a lot of wrestlers from all different companies are kind of like taking pictures together today. So I did see that picture, and I was like, oh, look at that. They both had their titles, so that was a pretty cool moment.
Yeah. Killer Kelly tweeted "Daddy" and "Mommy," and I was like, "Beat the parents."
I like that.
And what else? Speaking of Impact, Tasha Steele's Deanna Prouser was also very good, and of course, Shelley and Gresham is excellent. And I'm also looking forward to Ospreay and Alexander. And speaking of the North, who would have thought that Josh Alexander would be the more successful out of the two?
I know. I say that all the time. I'm like honestly would not have thought that, but yeah, here we are. Where Alexander is world champion. From world champion reign, while Ethan Page is kind of just feuding with Josh Woods. So
and a couple more things. About Alexander. Man, Final Resolution has a big tag match between the Guns, Alexander, and Zack Sabre Jr. Oh,
Zack Sabre's first match in Impact, so that kind of came out of left field. I didn't expect that to happen, but yeah, Impact's slowly making a lot of noise. Having Ospreay and a Zack Sabre on their shows, they're definitely trying to get some attention as they go into this rebrand.
Yeah. All right, I gotta go, man.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you, Muggan, and call again next week.
Thank you.
We will go to one piece of feedback we have here from Andrew from Cape Breton, who says, so quick update from last week. The cat did come around and she's back to being more affectionate. It just took a little longer. So this might be an unpopular view, but I hope Menard and Parker don't turn on Daniel Garcia. The story seems to be going in the direction of a turn, but I actually like the idea of Menard and Parker being hard on Garcia because they want him to succeed. They see his slump, and while he may have been used by Jericho in the past, they're not using him. They actually care. I was also excited to hear about the Continental Classic. Apparently, it will be 2 groups of 6, which I'm slightly disappointed in, as I was hoping for one large group so we can get more first-time matches. The G1 and Bound for Glory series in 2012 turned me on to this style of tournament, as I'm also glad Tony didn't do the big announcement hype beforehand. This seems like Tony is learning, as I consider this a big announcement that didn't need hype. The show was fine tonight, but with how cold AEW is, I don't expect the ratings to be above Rampage's again this week. The talk of Punk being talked into being under the devil mask won't happen, but I do think it could be a shot in the arm that the company desperately needs. If not him, hopefully it's Adam Cole to continue that story. Yeah, definitely an interesting time here with all. Everybody loves a good mystery angle in wrestling, right? Who done it? Hopefully it'll make sense at the end. That's all I hope for, is that it'll actually make sense, where it's not just like, how is he revealed as the person? So like, if, for example, if it's like Dolph Ziggler or something, it's like, well, he wasn't in the company. He wasn't allowed to be. So hopefully it won't be a Nick Nemeth. But thank you for everybody for coming in here tonight. Sorry again for all the technical difficulties. Hopefully I was able to do a good enough job for you guys here that we're able to watch live on all our social media, YouTube, Facebook, X, Twitter, as well as anybody who listened after the fact. Like he had alluded, next week we are going to be on a Friday, because we have a live Collision on a Friday night, as Full Gear is on Saturday. And since they are airing Rampage right after Collision, we will be reviewing that as well. So we figured that's the go home show before Full Gear is technically Rampage. So we might as well talk about that as well. So yeah, next week you'll be able to catch us here on Collision Course. If you want to hear more from me, like Hansi said, What Up Though? That's a show that I do with B Detroit. We would talk about all things pop culture, whether it be music, movies, video games, whatever happens in life. We both talked about Spider-Man 2 in our latest episode. It was right in the beginning, so we didn't really go into too much spoilers, but the next episode that will happen later on this month will definitely be going into all types of Easter eggs and side missions and the main story of a Spider-Man 2. That's going to be on the Poison Rana feed, as well as Shot in the Dark. I just have a new episode up this week talking about the debuting Goldie Collins on Women of Wrestling, as well as MLW, NWA, Impact Wrestling, AEW Rampage, and a whole bunch of other shows that you don't have to watch. Just listen to me for 15 minutes or less talk about it. And yeah, next week, like I said, me and Kate will be here for Collision Course on Friday, but our regular nights are on Saturdays after Collision. Thank you again for everybody for listening, for any feedback, any comments, all the calls. Thank you for listening, and we'll talk to you again next week.